You don't look at the mirror, I mean, and it doesn't like show you your nose this big, you know, but it shows you what the reality is. So even your brother, when they give you advice, they don't tell you that your akhlaq are this low. They tell you what they are and what you need to fix. They're realistic with you. So the mirror shows it to you as it is. Your believing brother or sister, when they give you advice, they also show it to you as it is. What else? You believe the mirror, right? You don't look at it and say, that's not me, it's not my nose. You believe exactly. Anyone who stands in front of a mirror, they never say, that's not me, right? So the same way when your brother comes to you and say, yeah, by the way, I notice that you do this a lot of times. No, I actually don't. You need to go check your... No, you believe again. What else? That's 4. There's a lot more. Long day, long day. There's a lot more. How about the mirror? Well, I think he said it. It doesn't exaggerate, right? Unless you're at a carnival, but usually the mirror doesn't exaggerate to you. Right? But what else? Yes, sister?
It shows you everything.
It
The
shows...
good and the bad. It doesn't just show you
It shows you the good and the bad. So it doesn't just stress the bad. It shows you that you're awesome all the way till we got to the nostrils. Everything was great. So it tells you everything, the good and the bad. In the same way, and that's why, by the way, when you give advice to someone, you sometimes start out with something nice. Right? You start with something nice. Jazakallah khair, brother. I always see you at the masjid, and Jazakallah khair, you're always in the front row. I just wanted to remind you that when you go down for sujood, this and that. Start with something nice, and then you tell them something else. I remember one time there was a sister. She wore hijab and everything. She used to smoke, like in a really public place. Sister just puffing away all day. So her friends told me give her advice, you know. And I'm like, I'm like the older person and what have you. I said, khalas, don't tell her. I started out with the good stuff. I followed all the advice rules. Oh man, she let me have it. That's it. Wallah, I was at my friend's house at night, and he was telling me, what's wrong with you? I said, that's just nothing. She let me have it. And I was very polite to her. Jazakallah khair for all your activities, and you're one of the best sisters in MSA. Just wanted to tell you about your smoke. She was like, who were you? You were not the imam here. You were... At least I thought you would accept the advice of like, I'm like your older brother. Anyways, so you do start out with something nice, and then you show the bad as well. How about the fact that the mirror shows you what you look like also within the context of like your environment in the background? The mirror does that to you. It doesn't just show you and erase everything behind you. And for me, I always appreciate when mirrors show me how short I am when I'm standing next to a tall brother. That's how short I am. Because I don't feel short, it's just I'm walking around by myself. Until you see yourself in the mirror next to someone tall, like, oh, no wonder those people keep calling me short. I'm humongously short. Humongously short. Alright, anything else with the mirrors? Yes, sir.
Doesn't wait for you to ask it.
Naam?
Doesn't wait for you to ask it.
Doesn't wait for you to ask it. Some people, your friends, you have to beg them to give you some advice. You might stay with them for a year. Never once. The mirror doesn't wait for that. You stand in front of it, tells you, hey, you're ugly. Okay, thank you. But some people, you just gotta pull it out of them. Please give me some advice. I want to improve myself. The mirror doesn't wait like that. It doesn't wait for the right time. Sometimes, by the way, there could be right times. I think that just any time you see a flaw in front of people. That's why Fudail ibn Iyad, rahimahullah, is one of the early Muslims, one of the tabi'in. He used to say that a believer conceals and gives advice, while a hypocrite embarrasses people. The believer just gives advice in private. That's how the Prophet ﷺ used to do it. And if I'm going to advise someone in this room, I see someone doing something wrong, when we're done, I would pull them aside and give them the advice. But this is the good way of doing it. Now, if I were to just call out a brother in the room, you in the back there, stop doing that. That would be very embarrassing, and it's not really advice. It's just a hypocritical way, and it's embarrassing the person. It's not giving advice. It's not trying to correct them. Now, if you wanted to give someone advice publicly, you wouldn't mention them by name. Okay? That's like, and you know this from the Prophet ﷺ. He would say, why do some people do this and this? Or why do some people say this and this publicly? But he wouldn't say, why does brother so-and-so do this? Because then you're just exposing, that's what he used to say in Fudail ibn Iyad, the hypocrite exposes and humiliates. Yeah, well, And the believer conceals and gives advice, while the hypocrite exposes and humiliates. You don't want to expose the person, you want to humiliate the person. You really want them to rectify or to better themselves or to improve or to stop whatever bad thing it is that they're doing. We want to keep going with the mirror. Anything else? What else is it with the mirror? There's a lot of stuff. What else?
We have 7, 8 so far.
Okay. What else about the mirror? It's a long day.
It lets the other person, at least that's the idea, should be able to see your flaws as well.
It allows others to see the flaw.
At least you would think, but some people they don't think it.
Oh, you mean like when they're given advice?
Right, they do more of a super.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. I'm not putting myself really into your business, but if it was absolutely none of my business, why did Allah Azza wa Jal tell us to give each other advice? وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So they give this advice, they join in this good and patience. They did it together. They worked together. They corrected munkar. They enjoyed what's good. So that means, at some point it's somebody's business a little bit that they can give you some advice about it, and it's your business if you're going to work on it or not. So we're saying, what was my point before I got into this?
No, I wanted to add another mirror example.
It's full of.
Like the mirror reflects light, and mu'min reflects the light of Allah.
And the believer, okay, Jazakallah khair. Brother's getting all spiritual on this. Jazakallah khair. Very nice. Very good. Yeah, someone else had their hand up. Yes.
I was going to say that the mirrors don't move in the way they are, and they don't disappear unless you break it.
Yes, they're always there for you, right? Let's add one more thing. You like coming back to the mirror. You like coming to the mirror. I mean, who likes to get advice? I'll come to you. Who likes to get advice from the mirror? I mean, I really do. Who likes to get advice from people? Yeah? A few of us, right? Others don't want to leave the comfort zone. Don't give me advice, okay? I'll walk around with that schnazola on my nose. It's no problem. Yeah? But you like to come to the mirror, and people, they come to the mirror, then they come back again. You handsome devil, and they walk away. And tomorrow they can't wait till they get up in the mirror. If you're like me, in the morning you don't want to see the mirror. The last thing you're going to see is yourself in the mirror when you wake up. You know the dua for looking in the mirror? Oh, the dua for looking in the mirror. For some people it's Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un. But who knows it?
I'm not very sure, but it's kind of like you're looking good and made my manners be as well. I don't know if
man. So now we see something phenomenal here. We see that again, going back to our importance of akhlaq, that Islam was never just concerned with the external appearance. It's actually always concerned with the internal. The dua of looking in the mirror, the amazing thing is, Allahumma ahsin khuluqi kama ahsanta khalqi. Or another narration, Allahumma hassin khuluqi kama hassanta khalqi. Amazing dua. Oh Allah, hassin, like improve or to better, improve my akhlaq as you have improved my external appearance, my khuluq. You see? So even when you're in a situation where you look at the external and it looks good, now you're reminded with the dua to remember the internal, which is so important as well. And that's why, the handsome guy and everything who's rude, he's still just a rude guy in the end. He's so handsome, but he's rude. Very rude guy. I don't want to hang out with him. Akhlaq, people, akhlaq. Just so important. Yes, sorry, go ahead, sir.
I was just going to mention another mirror thing, that the mirror, it'll show you what's bad, but it won't enforce. It'll let you make the decision to either correct it or reverse it.
Exactly, it'll just show it to you. It won't hit you or beat you into it or anything like that. It'll just show you what's wrong, and it makes it clear to you. And then it's up to you to do what you want with it, but it won't push you or anything like that. Excellent. Yes, sir.
People don't like the mirror. Because, let's say I'm looking at you you're a little pale, you need a tan, you need to comb your hair, you need to bring this and that tools with, alright,
Okay, that's a good point. And there's issues of self-esteem involved, and some people just and they have other issues. Whatever they see, they don't appreciate, or they would like it to look like some ideal or unattainable image. But if you compare just the mirror and the way it reflects and tells you what's wrong with you, the same way how the brother or sister will tell you what's wrong with you, you'll find some amazing comparisons. If you ever have time, or you're waiting for a class or waiting at the DMV, just take out a piece of paper and a pen, start to think of other things of how the mirror is just like split your page in half. One part is how you regard the advice that comes from the mirror and write it down, and the same way you regard the advice that comes from your believing brother or sister. And then the top half of the page, how the mirror gives you the advice, that it's instant, that it doesn't exaggerate, that it doesn't lie, and so on and so forth. Just do that. It'll be a great and fun exercise, inshallah. But we got into the whole thing of advice because we're talking about improving our akhlaq. And a lot of times people who catch your bad akhlaq are your friends or your close companions. And another thing about close companions is that their akhlaq rub off on you. If they have good akhlaq, it will rub off on you. And if they have bad akhlaq, it will also rub off on you. Even if it's just a little bit. Even if it's just a little bit. And that's why the very famous hadith of the method of Jalis Salih, like the righteous companion and the wicked companion, is the comparison of the bellow blower, you know what that is, and the guy who sells like musks or oils or colognes. The bellow blower, this is the guy who has that thing, and he blows air into the coal and makes it hotter for the blacksmith and to heat metal. If you visit him, no matter what, you're going to be affected by what he does. And if it gets really extreme, you might get burnt. A piece of ash will fly onto you. That's the extreme. But the least cases, you'll feel some of the heat or catch some of his BO. That's the least case. You cannot enter where body odor. Thank you. So it's you cannot walk through the place of a blacksmith and not be affected by anything, either smoke or soot or heat or smell or something. You're going to be affected. Some people in varying degrees. Your bad companion, they will affect you somehow. And one of my old jokes, I always use extreme examples. So a guy hangs out with people who are gay. It won't make you gay, but you might find one day as you're talking with people, suddenly you lose control in the wrist. So you will be affected on some level. Thank you, Adam.
I wasn't expecting that one.
They're just extreme so you can remember the examples. On the flip side, you can't visit someone who sells, oils or musk or perfumes or scent without getting some whiff of something good. So your good companion will have some good effect on you as well. That's why you've probably... Okay. So anyways, so that's why we're talking about akhlaq, the ways to improve it. Be realistic with yourself. Don't make excuses for yourself. Get advice from people and accept advice from people. And now, and that's what I was going to say before I swerved off. For you to give advice to someone else, like we said, you have to jump through hoops these days to give someone advice and have it accepted. But one of the ways is to make a deal with someone. There are certain deals you can make. For example, you might say, look, you're a good friend, I've known you for about a year or so, and let's make a deal because I like to improve myself, and I'm sure you want to improve yourself. And they'll say, yes. They probably won't say, no. They'll say yes. So you say, okay, so let's make a deal, me and you, that from now on, if I see something wrong with you, and you see something wrong with me, we'll give each other advice and we'll both accept it because we both want to improve as we agreed. Correct? Correct. Okay, great. By the way, you don't have to make it that abrupt, but so now this is a deal. Now because they made that deal, it's hard for them now to go against that because human beings, they like to feel consistent internally with what they do externally. That's why when you do something that doesn't agree with your belief, you feel uncomfortable. Human beings have the need to feel consistent with what they do and say, with how they believe. And that's why when you tell them, look, we'll make a deal, we'll give each other advice, the next time you give them advice, most likely they will accept it from you because we made that agreement. Okay, how about this other technique here? You told someone, Ya akhi, just like the guy was doing to me in the car, he was saying, I love to improve myself. I don't like to walk around with a fault or a flaw that everyone can see, and then my close friends don't give me the advice. So, I would like you to give me advice. So then they give you a piece of advice, and you actually want to give them advice, but you start off letting them give you advice. And now when it's yours, and then when they're done, tell them, okay, now, brace yourself. How much time do you have? I'm just kidding. You just say, look, thank Jazakallah khair for that advice, I'm going to work on it, and now I have something for you. They're not going to say, no, I don't want to hear it, stop. Because now, this is now, they gave you advice, you give them advice, they're going to accept that, inshallah. Okay, so I think it's fair to stop here, right?
We have a list of questions.
Oh, really? Let me read them so I can pick the easy ones and pretend there's not enough time for the difficult ones. طيب صلى الله وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين جزاكم الله خيرا. Oh man.
Deep questions.
It says, let's start with this one. It's nice and easy. What if after you tell your brother or sister to fix their manners, they don't? Do you have to keep telling them or leave them? You can keep reminding them. There's no harm in reminding someone over and over again. And just, don't make it too overbearing and too, just nice and gentle and sweet every time. Remind them again, tell them again. Tell them, I think you may have forgotten to do it, so maybe I'll remind you now. Go ahead. So it's not a problem, man. But if you're not doing it the right way, and sometimes you do it the right way, and they still don't accept. It's not a problem. You did your job, And you can keep reminding them. It's not an issue. And every time you think of creative ways to do it, I have one person. His father always drinks with the left. So I always remind him. And then he started to become creative. Like first, he would always tell him, with the right hand, right hand, right hand, And his father got tired of this whole right hand thing. So then, because his father eats with his hand, so his right hand is greasy and dirty. He doesn't want to make the cup dirty. So then so he'll drink with his left. So then his son has a nice way. Whenever his father drinks with the left hand, his son tells him, I wish you made the cup dirty. That's it. Nice or not? It's nice. It's different. You can keep coming with different styles, of giving the advice. You write it with a marker on their forehead when they're asleep. They wake up, they see it. Write it on top of their clothing, on top of their homework, on their books, on their laptop screen with permanent marker. Things like, be creative, people. Be creative. Okay. Can the shaitan get to you through looking at the mirror too much? It's possible. That's a hard look, though. And how much? That's like a program. 2 times a week, I have to spend 3 hours in front of the mirror. I don't know about that. But I don't know what it means by shaitan get to you. But so I don't know what kind of program this entails. But generally, I don't know the answer to that. How can we become more tolerant towards other people? It's just training. It's a couple of things. Part of it is knowing it's all about the reward, people. That's why Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us so many times in the Quran, this is the reward. That's the punishment, because it reminds you, it motivates you to act better. That's why the Prophet ﷺ says, "Man kana yu'min billahi wal yawm al-akhir, falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut." Whoever believes in Allah in the last day, let him say that which is good or keep quiet. طيب, why didn't the Prophet just say, just keep quiet or say something